So I did shoot some time-lapse video of me doing this particular office floor. If you might recall, there was a coloured quartz floor in here, and I did some side-by-side tests of grinding it versus using a diamond brush tool. And then at the end of it, I decided to put on this type of flooring system. It's called Resin Stone. And again, I shot the video and I sent it to an applicator to sort of have a look at and throw me some questions. And I got a few questions from it, so I thought I'd address them again in one video rather than shoot a bunch of videos. So the first question that arose was, it was a 2-coat process, and I seemed to re-roll it a lot. And yes, the short answer is yes, I did. Resin stone's a bit of a different sort of material, and it's quite important that you get the base coat even everywhere. So re-rolling it north, south, east, west, and so forth is important. And the way I do it is I'm listening and I'm feeling the roller to realise it's consistent. I'm on spiked shoes, so I can walk around and look at it from different angles. But yes, that's a good pickup. They also noticed that the broadcasting technique is actually quite different with this resin stone than it is with normal flake. Normal flake, you're really throwing it up in the air, you're chook feeding up in the air, and you're just constantly letting it filter down. Whereas with resin stone, I'm really standing above it and just dropping it down gradually and seeing it happen. The difference between the two is that resin stone is made up of a blend of particle sizes. So there's fine dusts right through to larger flake pieces. And if you throw it up in the air, what happens is that the fines, the dust lands first, and the large flake pieces sit on top. And in fact, they don't end up stuck to the floor. They end up being scraped off the next day. So you end up with something that doesn't actually have a consistent appearance of the larger flake. So the broadcast technique is actually quite critical when it comes to resin stone. It's not difficult. Once you understand why you're going to do it that way, you just do it, and it behaves itself. As you can see, the floor is like one piece of stone. It's turned out really well, and I'm really pleased with it. On the topic of the PU, the top coat was applied. It's called Easy Poly, and I was doing it by myself. I noticed that I just took my time and cut it in and rolled and re-rolled, and in fact I walked back onto the rolled area, which is typically a no-no with a solvent-borne product, and because it'll start to pigtail and cobweb and so forth the minute you try to re-roll it. The solvents come out of it and you re-roll it and it misbehaves. Well, Easy Poly is a solventless one-pack urethane, so it behaves quite differently. It behaves more like a solventless epoxy, where you have time to go back on, re-roll it and so forth, and it smooths itself out. So it's actually a really nice product to work with as far as user-friendliness, and in that you've got time to re-roll it, you can go back over, you saw me walk around and go back on the wet materials and so forth, and it still ended up even. I can't see any roller lines in it, so it's continued to self-smooth, which is pretty good, and the finish looks pretty damn even. So that was yes, that was the PU. And then the last comment was they thought it was unusual that I was rolling out a urethane without a organic vapor mask, and it's a good pickup. And it wouldn't cross your mind to roll out a urethane normally that's solvent borne, like with a solvent in it, because you'd be high as a kite, you'd be feeling it in your throat and so forth. But Easy Poly's solventless, and I honestly just forgot about it. I just felt like I was doing an epoxy, a solventless epoxy. So I went through it all, and it wasn't until I was finishing that I didn't actually even put on an organic vapor mask. Now, that's pretty bad. I mean, on one hand, so I actually went and I was looking up the SDS, the safety data sheet, and I guess there's a way for me to justify that it was okay in that area because there was breezes running through, so I felt okay in that side of things. But the other thing is that the vapor pressure of the product means that there's very, very low vapors even coming out of it. It's not like a solvent-borne product where there's a lot of vapors being created all the time and the isocyanates are coming out all the time. There's very little actually coming out of the product, and that's why there's no smell. And because there's no smell, you're not thinking about pungent smell put on your mask. So that was the reason why I wasn't wearing a mask, and it's a good pickup, and I will be more mindful of it next time. It was only I was in the heat of the moment. My focus was on putting down this top coat on Resin Stone. So I hope that answers your questions. If you have more questions, of course, just ask. I'm Resin Jack, and as always, take care and keep smiling.